So Joseph Smith for Seconds Out here with Kid Galahad's trainer Dominic Ingle. How are you?
Very good. How are you?
I'm doing very well indeed. So
More like you should be in like an indie band in America.
oh really? Well, I had my hair cut not too long ago and I was told I look like an Australian mechanic, but I'm not too sure.
Maybe a surfer. Maybe a surfer dude.
Fair enough. Well, I mean, this afternoon we witnessed tensions kind of flare up on the weigh-in stage.
What the tension? What the tension? Who do you think was more tense?
Who do I think was more tense? Well, I mean, to be honest, the moment that the altercation occurred, a lot of people were mobbing the stage. So, to be honest, I'd like to know if you managed to kind of get an insight on what was actually said between the two fighters on stage.
To be honest, I wasn't paying attention to what being said. I don't know what had been said. I just saw Josh Warrington bouncing around and getting agitated, and Galahad remaining, cool, calm, and collected. So I don't know what went off, and maybe it was just Josh trying. I don't know if anything was said. Maybe Josh was just trying to front him up, like the bully in the playground type of thing, making a lot of noise and hoping somebody's going to hold him back.
So he's most definitely the aggressor, really, in your eyes.
The most agitated, I would say.
Well, I mean, what do you reckon he was trying to achieve by doing that?
I don't know. Maybe he just likes to psych himself up for the occasion. I don't think it means too much at a weigh-in, really. Expended energy. He's a little bit rattled, and he's probably trying to intimidate Kid Galahad, but it's never going to work. It's never going to work. He just doesn't mean anything, does it? It only matters when the shots start to land. That's
it. Well, moving on to when the shots are going to be thrown tomorrow night. What do you reckon is the key to Barry actually winning the fight?
I think, all Barry's got to do is what he normally does, stick to his boxing, be calm, collected. Warrington's going to bring what he brings. He's going to do it in a certain way. And, people are asking me, what do I think of Josh on the scales? What do I think of him as a fighter? What I'm more concerned is how my fighter's going to perform. Watching him through his training camp, watching him how he makes the weight. They're the things. I'm not particularly bothered about how good or bad Josh Warrington is. He's my fighter in peak condition. And I think at press conference yesterday I said, he's 90% plus. And people started picking up on that. And what they don't realise is, a lot can change in a couple of days. You've got to make the weight. How do you feel after you've made the weight? How do you make the weight? How do you rehydrate? And to be honest, everything's gone perfectly with his camp. He's made the weight great. And, you get a feeling before fights, how they're going to go. Say, for example, Liam Williams, when he boxed Mark Heffron, he was the underdog. A lot of people thought Heffron, being the prospect and never being beaten, was going to beat Liam Williams, who'd been in tough fights with Liam Smith, and he was going to win, and Liam Williams stood him on his head. But I had a good feeling about that. I've seen Liam Williams do things that he hadn't done in other fights, how he'd stuck to the training, how he performed in sparring. And on the other hand, take for instance Kell Brook against Errol Spence. The Kell Brook that beat Sean Porter would have beat Errol Spence, but there was things going off in the camp. Kell never mentioned it, but obviously he was coming off a defeat to Golovkin, a lot of injuries, took his time getting back into camp. There was lots of issues, and you're almost, whereas I was sure that Kell could win the fight, I wasn't 100% sure like I've been in the past. You always had a bit in reserve because you realise what he's had to put himself through camp, where it didn't go quite well, when he got a little bit run down, where the sparring didn't look like he normally did. You get indications through the training camp how they're going to perform. And with Galahad, he's always been consistent through every camp. He's been training now since his last fight, which was in December. He boxed a world title eliminator in October. 8 weeks later, he just took an 8-round fight. He didn't need to take a risk, but he did. He wanted to be active. And, he's trained from that point onwards to here. And that's reflected in his condition of his body, how he's made the weight easier. So you get an idea. And I know Josh is talking about his time and he's on a roll. But, just for what I'm looking at with Galahad, it's the consistency thing. And he's very calm under pressure. He can box. He puts his shots together well. I know for a fact that Josh Warrington's flustered. He didn't really want this fight. He wanted to. When they get to the level like that, the press conference of the day there was maybe 50 or 60 people in. Compare that to when he boxed Cole Frampton. It was massive, and he's had to drop down to this. It's like a bit of an anticlimax for him. In his mind, he's thinking, I need to be in bigger, better fights, and that's what motivates fighters at that level. Whereas, really, what's motivating Galahad is just to be the world champion. It doesn't matter whether there's a lot of people there or not. It doesn't matter if he's boxing in, a venue with 50 or 60 people. It's just about the fight. And you can almost see Josh being pissed off having to be brought down back to this level. It's almost like just like a British title fight. And in his mind, he's thinking he's got to be doing bigger and better things. He's worthy of more. But Galahad's just looking at it for what it is. You know what I mean? That he can, you know, he's a British title. Josh Warrington's British. Could be a British title fight this with a world title fight tag. So, you know, I'm just looking for Galahad to stick to the plan what we've worked out, stick to his boxing, and come in with the consistency he has for the last 26 fights.
Well, I mean, what would the victory, if it goes that way, what would that mean to you personally?
You know, people ask me this. You know, I've been doing this for a long time. I worked out today how many world title fights I've been. This is going to be my 46th world title fight. That covers across the spectrum of Johnny Nelson, Kell Brook, Nazim Ahmed, Junior Witter, a fight with Neville Brown, Herbie Hyde. So, you know, it's old hat to me. It's great to have another world champion in the camp. We've been doing it consistently for a long time. Billy Joe Saunders obviously as well fights. So it's going to mean a massive amount to Kid Galahad because he's been working to this day for a long, long time. And, you know, he's going to pull it off. He's going to become champion. He's going to be another one in the long line of champions coming from the Ingle gym. It's great for the gym. But he's a typical example of, we've had a lot of good fighters over the years. Probably better than him. Probably some kids better than Kell Brook. Better than Johnny Nelson, better than Nazim Hamid, but it's whether they can be in the gym every day, the consistency they come through, whether they can come through and get to this point. And if they can get to this point, they generally win. You know, there's only Johnny Nelson really who failed in world title fight challenges when he first started off. Kell Brook won one at the first time of asking. Nazim Hamid did. You know, Junior Witter did. Oh well, actually he didn't. He boxed Abjuda, got beat, but he was like a last minute thing. But he came round and he came good. So, you know, I just feel that Kid Galahad is the type of athlete that, you know, he's put the work in. He does everything, you know, like a true professional. And I don't think Josh Warrington does. I think Josh Warrington trains for fights. I can imagine after Christmas, he had a big victory, he swum the channel, beat Cole Frampton. He probably partied for about 5 or 6 weeks, you know, living the life. He certainly won't have been in the gym training. And then before this last fight, he pulled out with an injury and got the date changed again. You know, maybe he did have an injury, but just maybe he wasn't in a good place to start his training camp, so he needed a bit more time. So there's all these little things, and I just see with him getting flustered and the little things he's doing, it's really got to him this fight. Whereas for us, you know, it's just another walk in the park.
Well, thank you very much for your time, Dom, and we'll be there watching tomorrow eagerly. Thank you very much. Cheers.